Hi everybody, this is Diana aka Pop Culture Diva 42 and I have a question. What is up with Captain America's gray armpits? Like I don't understand. I don't understand this design. Why would you put gray color blocking in that particular area? Why would you want to divert my attention to the freaking armpits? It's not like I'm not interested in the super armpits. I'm sure that Captain America's armpits smell of daisies and lavender and I don't know, parsley. But I'm not interested in his armpits, and I don't understand why you could not just put blue where blue is supposed to be. Not to mention that gray is not on the Star Spangled Banner, as I remember it. So yeah, really freaky design. Don't understand gray armpits. So yeah, this is a review of Avengers Assemble, and I do not think I will be watching this on a week-by-week basis. Maybe after they get more episodes, and the show evolves and progresses, maybe I'll give it another shot. But after these two episodes, which I'll refer to as the pilot episode because it's basically one storyline that got separated into two parts, I cannot say that I was impressed. I wasn't disappointed either. It leaves me kind of indifferent. And I think Earth's Mightiest Heroes worked a lot better because it was actually a declaration of love to the comics and to the history of the Avengers, as long as it is. Well, while this is a declaration of love for the Avengers movie, and there is so much stuff in here that is taken straight from the movie, like including scenes and quotes, and stuff like pushing Iron Man to be the leader, and Hawkeye and Black Widow's romantic aspect of their relationship, and the rivalry between Hulk and Thor, which granted can be very fun at times. So there's so much stuff that is taken straight from the movie where I'm like, why don't I just watch the movie again instead of watching a half-assed animated version of it? And another problem that I have with the show is, like, none of these characters seem to have a life outside of the Avengers. Like, they bitch and moan when Iron Man, when Tony calls on them, and it's like, especially Hulk and Thor, which are, granted, arguably the most complex and tragic motherfuckers on this team, especially the Hulk, who is like so much tragedy and drama in that guy's life, and he's reduced to like the comic relief. Like the Hulk in this is basically an uber-powered Wolverine that's a jerk most of the time, and just is looking for something to hit. And the Hulk, even if you do not want to show Bruce Banner so early on, Bruce Banner is a very important aspect of Hulk, or rather, Hulk is a very important aspect of Bruce Banner's personality, and you don't get that with Thor. The same thing. You don't get that this guy is the freaking ruler of Asgard. These are just the powerhouses of the Avengers team, and quite frankly, they get the least development out of the entire team, Hulk and Thor. The only thing that they have going for them is the fact that they really do not like each other very much, or at least they have that rivalry thing going on. But other than that, this is not the ruler of Asgard. This is not the breaker of worlds. And we spend more time developing Hawkeye and Black Widow's I fucking status relationship thing than we spend developing or explaining why Thor, who is the ruler of Asgard, would waste his time with a bunch of mortals. Although he does say at some time, you silly, silly mortals. The storyline also had a problem for me because Red Skull was such a generic, crappy villain. Without, the villains in the Marvel Universe always were, the best ones always were kind of special and kind of had their own thing going on and their own personality. Red Skull has been reduced to a generic villain. Like I urge you, like any freaking supervillain in the Marvel Universe could have stood in the place of Red Skull. MODOK to a lesser extent, because MODOK was in this, but he had a certain ability that was very important to the storyline. But you could replace Red Skull with anybody. Also, I think the animation is nothing to write home about. They did try. It did feel kind of. It was kind of hard to accommodate to the whole comic comic book panel thing that they were trying to go for. Especially the thing is that they do it when there's action going on, when there are action scenes going on, and it kind of breaks up the action and makes it even harder to follow because action scenes inherently are kind of harder to follow than regular scenes. And when you add comic book panels to that, it breaks up the tension even more. And you have the traditional problems of trying to blend traditional animation with CGI. The voice acting, again, Adrian Pasdar sounds a lot younger as Iron Man than I think he's supposed to be. He sounds younger than the rest of his team. The guy who plays and the guy who plays Thor is super over the top, like he was on Earth's Mightiest Heroes. But in Earth's Mightiest Heroes, it actually kind of worked for him. And Black Widow does not have a Russian accent at all in this, at all. But again, I think that is probably inspired directly from the movie where Black Widow did not have an accent. So, my biggest problems with this right now is that I feel like the Avengers, Iron Man is getting a ton of development, so is Hawkeye, surprisingly, so is the relationship between Hawkeye and Black Widow, but the rest of them are kind of there just to be there, especially the Falcon. Now, I actually like the Falcon in this. I think I like the Falcon's design the best. I think it looked very interesting, but this is another example of just they had to put, I'm sorry if I'm not being politically correct right now, but they had to put a black guy in there. But it kind of makes sense because the Falcon is going to be in the Captain America sequel. But the problem is that in the pilot episode, he did not have a connection to Captain America. He had a connection to Iron Man. And I don't understand why they couldn't have just used War Machine. Like, if you really want to have an African-American superhero, a black superhero in here, why not use one that already has a connection to Iron Man if that's the kind of story that you want to tell? Why not use War Machine? Instead, they use the Falcon. But if you're going to use the Falcon, then why not pay respect to the character as he is in the comic books and make him interested and make him an ally of Captain America first and then make him part of the Avengers, because that's the history of the character to a certain extent. Instead, they made him a fanboy of Iron Man, and from that he goes to being part of the Avengers. It kind of feels like what they're trying to do with Cyborg and what they tried to do with Cyborg in that one Justice League movie, which name escapes me right now. I think it was Justice League Doom, where they tried to like really push the idea that Cyborg all of a sudden is a member of the Justice League because he's black, pretty much. Yeah, I'm sorry if I wasn't being politically correct right there. But those are some of my biggest problems with Avengers Assemble, and why I'm not going to watch it on a week-by-week basis. Because unlike the members of the Avengers, I actually have shit to do in my life.